Good afternoon and welcome to the BJTC Awards for 2021, coming to you from the BBC studios in Birmingham. Today we're celebrating the best journalism from among our 4,000 students who have continued to create outstanding stories despite all the challenges of lockdown and COVID-19 restrictions. As you see and hear the work of our finalists today, we'd love you to show your support in the comments below or by clicking on the like button. They may not be able to hear your applause, but your social media love will let them feel your appreciation. But before we get started, we have a few words from the Chief Executive of the BJTC, John Goodall.
I'd like to welcome you to our virtual awards ceremony and thank you for joining us this afternoon. Despite not being together in one room, we've made a special event to celebrate the best talent from our accredited courses. I do hope you enjoy the programme and we look forward to interacting with you virtually as you congratulate your friends, students and colleagues. The BJTC Awards are the highlight of our year. It's a chance to champion the amazing work across all of our courses and for you to get your work noticed by industry as you embark on your careers. The BJTC is supported by top industry bodies including the BBC, Sky, Global, Bauer, Channel 4, ITV, the NUJ, Reuters, ITN and Associated Press. And we'd like to welcome representatives from these companies this afternoon to this live stream. Thank you for your continued support. We'd also like to thank the BBC too for hosting this today, to Trish Adudu, to Stuart Thomas and all the Birmingham production team for taking time out of their extremely busy schedules to ensure this event could go ahead. We'd also like to thank our judges for their time and effort in coming to their decisions entirely independent of the BJTC and masterfully chaired by BBC Breakfast editor Richard Frediani. Thank you. All that's left for me to say is congratulations for getting this far. Those of you who have been shortlisted have also been invited to a special after-show party, which sounds very exciting. So we're looking forward to meeting you and seeing you there. We really encourage you to take this opportunity to network with people from the industry. We were there once and you're there now. So good luck and enjoy the show.
Thanks, John. Where was my party invite? Anyway, journalism has opened up so many opportunities for me. I started on Match of the Day training as an assistant producer, and I've met all my heroes, Muhammad Ali, David Beckham, Oprah Winfrey, and I once paid off my students' debts by grabbing an impromptu interview with O.J. Simpson at Heathrow Airport. That's another story. But you will, I'm sure, have a wonderful career. Keep it varied is my tip. I've presented on everything from Loose Women to The One Show, and you can catch me every weekday afternoon on BBC CWR or on the news channel for my pieces on my beloved city, Coventry, being City of Culture. Good luck, you'll smash it. And now to our first category, Best TV News Report. The first nominees are Lauren Hardaway and Joe Cook from City University of London, with Teaching Cuts for Deaf Children, described by the judges as well-structured and balanced, including a great case study with thought for pictures and voices. This is followed by the second nomination, also from City, Stephanie Rendell and Isaine Blattrey, with their report on a COVID-19 testing centre in Hackney. The judges praised their sensitive exploration of an important local topic, making the most of limited pictures to produce a visually engaging, well-balanced and watchable piece of public service journalism. Let's have a look at the two nominations.
2-year-old Dara loves singing, but she was diagnosed with moderate to severe hearing loss at just a few weeks old. Dara's mother credits Tower Hamlets Teachers of the Deaf with the toddler's fast development, but this support could be reduced by council cuts.
Teaching British Sign Language and also teaching speech therapy and general speech to my daughter is a lifeline, and if she doesn't get the support that she deserves or that she needs, she will slowly become less than she is already. And that's just tragic.
The number of teachers could be halved, leaving each responsible for visiting and supporting 170 children. In January, the council asked parents and staff for their thoughts on the planned £650,000 savings. But many parents are frustrated that they still don't know if the cuts will go ahead.
A white tent gives away this borough's biggest secret. Behind the rows of houses hides a new coronavirus testing centre. The centre has been built on the council-owned estate Sandford Court, where some parts of the construction are mere metres away from the residents' doors and windows. William, who lives on the estate, says the centre has caused distress to many families who live there.
Well, it's a complete shock. People with suspected COVID-19 are walking up and down our streets, around our flats and residents, coming into contact with children going to school, parents doing normal things like shopping, etc. We're not being represented, we're being trodden on by this council.
The site opened last week and it has the capacity to test 333 people a day. But it's not just the residents who say they're at risk. To my left is the entrance of a local park known as Allen's Gardens.
Oh, close, honestly. How would you compare those two? Well, the winner is Lauren Hadaway and Joe Cook from City University of London with teaching cuts for deaf children. Congratulations to you both. Now, let's turn to the Best Radio News Report. Our first finalist is Ellie Gifford from the University of Salford with Instagram versus Reality Flawless Face, which the judges describe as a feast of case studies, balanced and clearly told with a wallscape of sound. This is followed by nominee Tom Heath from Leeds Trinity University with his report on the Bradford City fire anniversary. The judges say it's simple, powerful and effective, a well-told feature told through a mixture of recollection and archive.
Faye Seeger is 19 and lives in Manchester. She has suffered with acne since she was 13 and resorted to editing her pictures to try and achieve what she thought was perfection.
I take about 70 pictures of myself, smooth out my skin, whiten my teeth, make my lips bigger, my nose smaller. Literally didn't even look like me. I just wanted to look like what I saw on Instagram. I didn't think I could look perfect, but I wanted to look better than I did.
The celebrity and influencer community has made editing apps extremely popular. With a collective following of over 32 million people, James Charles and Molly May have shown their followers how to edit their images through YouTube.
You guys know I'm definitely the self-proclaimed queen of Facetune, let's be real.
On this channel I'm going to reel with you, I use Facetune.
In a recent study, it found 81% of people wouldn't post a picture without retouching it first, and a further 54% of people change imperfections on their skin.
The fire took just minutes to break out, and a day which should have seen Bradford triumphantly lift the 3rd Division trophy is now dedicated to those who tragically lost their lives in the fire. Christian Oldcorn is a Bradford City fan who was there that day.
The first thing I can remember is noticing that a few people ran onto the pitch, followed by my dad literally grabbing me by the scruff of the back of my neck and rushing onto the pitch. He was wearing a long coat, which he tried to put me under so that I didn't see very much. Sadly, I saw and heard and experienced things that I wish I hadn't.
And let's see who takes the honours. The award goes to the University of Salford's Ellie Gifford with Instagram versus Reality Flawless Face. Well done, Ellie. Well done to you. Moving on to the Best TV Feature, our first entry by Liam Gould and Emily Kinder from City University of London looks at the issue of hair loss for young people. The judges commended this exploration of an original subject, saying it included an incredible range of absolutely brilliant case studies that required a massive amount of planning and crafting. The second piece you will see is also from City. 1 year on has Dominic Cummings Changed Barnard Castle is by Jack Parker. The judges say it's an excellent example of why it can be worth revisiting a story with a fresh pair of eyes, drawing the viewer in with well-selected contributors and good attempts to write to picture. Let's take a look.
The hair on your head. It's probably not something that many of us think about deeply on a day-to-day basis. But how does it feel when you start to lose it when you're young? And just how much can it affect someone's day-to-day life?
It really affects you mentally. That's for sure. Physically too and mentally too.
A struggle can be that some people view it as, it's only your hair, it's not a big deal, it's not a problem.
But young people today are finding new ways to raise awareness of going bald so that the narrative on hair loss can change for the better.
And I thought, hey, I should actually talk about this a bit more. Bald Cafe was born.
How do we see bald people? Undesirable, funny, and the butt of the joke. But it's not. Bald is beautiful. Bald can be beautiful.
Laura Matthias has had alopecia areata since she was 12. 18 years on, she recalls how difficult the experience of losing her hair was for someone so young.
But when the Prime Minister's then Chief Advisor, Dominic Cummings, went for a lockdown drive to test his eyesight,
and ended up on the outskirts of Barnard town,
it got a new claim to fame. After attention turned away from Westminster, Barnard Castle still makes headlines and is now coming into focus. So has this small market town been changed by that infamous visit? And has it changed for good?
Barnard Castle is usually a quiet town, tucked away in miles of rolling countryside. It's been my home for over a decade, so I've seen it have its busy moments over the years. But Dominic Cummings' lockdown visit has brought something unexpected to the town: national attention. The number of Google searches for Barnard Castle was 20 times higher than normal in the week the story emerged, and has remained above average ever since.
And the winner is Liam Gould and Emily Kinder from City University of London. Congratulations to you both. Let's hear now from one of the judges for this category, Chris Howard, editor of News Output at Sky.
Hi everyone, this is Chris from Sky. I was judging the TV feature category this year, and I have to say I was blown away by the entries. You did a fantastic job under really difficult circumstances. So hats off to everybody. Good luck to those of you who've made the shortlist. Really strong field with some fantastic topics, really interesting stories, brilliantly told. Enjoy this evening, have a really good time, and I hope to see you in a newsroom near me soon.
On to the Best Radio Feature category now, and our first nominee is Mariana Gonçalves. She's from Goldsmiths University of London with her exploration of nuns who have taken a vow of silence at a Portuguese monastery. The judges say it is a beautifully produced, wonderfully scripted and atmospheric journey into a different world that really painted pictures and was very well mixed. Our second finalist is also from Goldsmiths. Ben Tullo's entry on the performers and the relationships they have with their characters. The judges say a clever concept, well executed. They were particularly impressed with Ben's relaxed style and use of music, montage and sound. Let's have a listen.
When I arrived at 11 a.m., the bells rang, and the prioress told me the nuns were entering their cells to do the Lectio Divina prayer in solitude, as they do every day at that time. The sound of silence was so loud that I could hear my own thoughts through the corridors. Prioress Vera sat down with me at the monastery room. My first question was, how can these nuns willingly make an eternal vow of silence, poverty, obedience, solitude, and chastity, and accept to live in the margin of society?
One who loves seeks being alone with his loved one. Isn't that true? Therefore, this love that lives in us all our lives and takes up all our energies has to be cultivated, just like a couple has to nurture their relationship throughout the years, or else the relationship might wither.
I wanted to know where characters come from and to examine the relationship performers have with their characters. So I went out to interview people who got paid to be a character for a living, in a quest to find out what makes a character.
Could you start by introducing yourself?
Yes. My name is Jacob Anderson-Bird, also known as Dina Lux. I'm a musician, drag queen, and academic, I suppose, living in London.
Well, it's so good to be here on the show this afternoon. I do appreciate you having me on. Hello, my name is Sarah Jane and I am Europe's leading Dolly Parton experience, and I've been performing as Dolly Parton for over 26 years.
I'm Lawrence Tucker, I'm a comedian based in Glasgow, and I play a bitter old working man's club style comic and magician called Magic Mike, who's absolutely furious that Channing Tatum has taken his name.
And now to find out the winner. And it is Mariana Gonçalves from Goldsmiths University of London with Sisters of Silence. Congratulations, Mariana. Now, one of the judges for this category, Stuart Thomas, who is also my boss, the head of BBC Midlands, offers his congratulations.
Once again, I'm absolutely delighted that the BBC in the Midlands has been able to help the BJTC to beam these awards into living rooms and classrooms right up and down the UK. Not only is the mailbox home to BBC Midlands Today and Radio WM, but also the BBC Academy, a really key partner in the future of journalism for the BBC and for the BJTC. I was really excited to judge a category again this year, always a positive experience sampling the best in student journalism and hearing and seeing the quality of output that you're producing. Good luck to everyone who's nominated today. Congratulations to you all. You are all winners in my eyes.
I'll second that. Thank you, Stuart. Coming up, we have awards for categories including Best TV Sports Journalism, Best Podcast and Best News Day, as well as the 500,000... 500? I was going to say 500,000. 500, hold your horses. Prize, which recognises the standout entry from all of the category winners, the Steve Harris Award. But time now for the Best TV Documentary, always a popular category, and this year receiving more than 30 entries. Our first nomination is from Joe Cook, Lawrence Brooks and Harriet Stringer from City University of London, with their piece exploring the impact of IVAs or individual voluntary arrangements for debt relief. The judges praised the rigour and detail of this piece, describing it as meticulously sourced investigative journalism with powerful case studies vividly illustrating the human impact of debt. This is followed by Millie Martin, Sophie Braybook and Maddie Coombe, also from City. Their documentary, Britain's Immigration Law, The Women It Doesn't Protect, impressed the judges with its use of production techniques, strong shot selection and excellent storytelling. The judges also commended on the relationships the filmmakers had clearly fostered with their interviewees.
Would you recommend an IVA to a friend?
No. I wouldn't even recommend it to my worst enemy.
They call it the debt solution of choice, but for some, it's plunging them into greater financial ruin.
I'm still literally on the line if I'm lucky. I mean, I've been to food banks in that time 3 times.
My whole life, I just felt that everything was collapsing, and they'll tell you it's the best thing, but it's the worst thing.
I don't know how they can do this and get away with it.
Individual voluntary arrangements can write off your debt in 5 years at pennies to the pound. But are big companies mis-selling the solution and making millions out of some of Britain's most vulnerable?
Well, it will ruin people's lives. It has done, and it is going to continue to do so.
I do think there's potentially a scandal there because a lot of people, shouldn't have been put onto IVAs.
Domestic abuse charity Southall Black Sisters have been working to make sure that migrants feel supported by the police. They want to see changes made within the police force so that victims feel safe to report crime. In 2018, Southall Black Sisters launched a super complaint against the police with human rights solicitors Liberty. Now, it says here that a super complaint can be used by an organisation to highlight harmful trends they see in policing and incite positive change. Hi, Janaea. I went to speak to Janaea, who works for Southall Black Sisters, to find out more.
Our police super complaint is calling for a complete separation between police and the Home Office so that victims and witnesses of crime, particularly victims of domestic abuse, can report violence or any abuse that they're experiencing without the fear that immigration enforcement action will be taken against them.
Oh, both brilliantly shot. Honestly, fantastic standard. And the winner is City University's Joe Cook, Lawrence Brooks and Harriet Stringer with IVA's Britain's Next Mis-Selling Scandal. Congratulations all. Now, it's radio's turn to impress us in the Best Radio Documentary category, with finalist number 1 coming from Canterbury Christ Church University, David Applin. The judges say David's piece Inside the Dark Web is a compelling journey with a powerful script, probing a difficult subject with ease. There were strong interviewees coupled with wonderful audio production and storytelling. Our second nomination is from Xavi Bird of City University of London, a piece entitled How Important is Smell? The judges noted the timelessness of the topic in terms of COVID-19 symptoms and say the documentary is well told with fascinating interviews and angles moving through several phases of storytelling. It's witty and clever as well. Let's have a listen to the nominees.
It is believed that the monthly drug revenue of darknet markets could be as high as $21 million, a figure which is growing rapidly as more and more searching for potentially dangerous substances source their drugs on the dark web.
It's a flip of a coin. Will's friend survived, Will died. It's as simple as that.
The number of markets has more than tripled since 2013, the year which saw the FBI shut down the Silk Road.
The FBI calls it the most sophisticated criminal marketplace on the internet.
It sounds like the plot of a movie. The government says hundreds of thousands of users like this man use the impossible-to-trace website which sells drugs, weapons, forged documents, and even hitmen.
My name is Nicolas Christin. I'm an associate professor of computer science, and I've been studying online crime and the dark web for the better part of the last decade. The Silk Road was the first modern online anonymous marketplace.
Started off, first couple of days, it was just a bad headache and a loss of smell and taste. It got worse. I was hospitalised. I spent 3 weeks in a coma, 7 weeks on a ventilator in total, and 3 months in hospital altogether.
Tracy suffers from long COVID. She still has difficulty breathing, as you might be able to hear, and has real issues with her taste and smell. I asked her what impact this last aspect had had on her daily life.
It was having an impact on my recovery because I didn't want to eat, but everyone said, well, you have to eat because if you don't eat, you're not going to build up the strength you need to get better.
So losing your sense of smell can also have a serious effect on your physical health. But has it affected Tracy's mental well-being in the same way as it did for James?
I always used to love, feeling a bit miserable, put a scented candle on.
And obviously you can't do that now. What kind of smells did you like before?
Cut grass, my favourite smell in the whole world.
I've heard about this. I've heard about cut grass, and for me, that seems so weird because I've never been able to smell anything.
And the judges' final decision goes to... Oh, this is so nerve-wracking. Xavi Bird from City University of London. Congratulations, Xavi. Oh, sure, it's just wonderful. Really, really hard, actually, because the nominations are so incredibly close. This year, we have a new category in the awards, which is in memory of one of the pioneers of British television, Derek Dowsett, who died earlier this year. Joining me to tell us more about the award and the man himself is his former colleague, Bill Taylor. Thanks for joining us, Bill. Tell us about Derek.
Hi, Trish. Derek was a legendary and truly inspirational programme editor at ITN, and he led the ITV early evening news at a time when, on a good night, it would get up to 10 million viewers. And if you think about his era, 1980s, 1990s, Gorbachev, Thatcher, Reagan, arms control, Berlin Wall, perestroika, and of course the miners' strike. And his mission, I think, was to provide accessible news for an audience primarily outside London, to give them a sort of stall's front seat at history, really.
And such a stressful job. Could he cope with all the stress? What was he like as a man?
The interesting thing is he was quite quiet as a man. He wasn't overly demonstrative at all. He never ever, in my hearing of 10 years, lost his temper. He just did the job and got on with it and made decisions right there and right then. And that was one of his great gifts.
I mean, we hear so much of the pressures of news, and like you say, those were huge audiences. How difficult was it to make sure that the right story came at the right time?
I think one of the key things about these awards and about that period at ITN is short form, high quality packaging, great storytelling, great interviews with not only the powerful, but a vast range of ordinary people who were affected by the news, and great picture editing, and turn it around quickly. And I mean, if he's watching us now, he'll say, yeah, great story, but just make it shorter, make it snappier.
I worked over at ITN, and I'm sure I passed him on the corridor many a time. And what do you think he would have made of an award in his name?
I think he'd be slightly embarrassed. I think he'd smile. He was a slightly diffident man. He was never one to blow his own trumpet. But as I say, the donors for this award remind me that he inspired several generations of journalists who are now working across ITN, the BBC, ITV, and indeed across the US as well.
But what advice would you give to people watching that want a career like Derek in news?
Care about the story. Care about the audience, and care about an audience, in my view, that is beyond the powerful, beyond the privileged. I think that was one of Derek's great gifts, that he cared passionately about giving people who weren't necessarily well-educated or necessarily very rich. He said that they had to have a front seat at the events of the day so that they could make a decision, everyone could make a decision about where they stood in the democratic process.
Oh, what a wonderful legacy. Stay with us, Bill. Let's take a look at Derek's career and the impact he had at ITN.
The news at 5:45 with Leonard Parkin.
ITN producer Derek Dowsett, spending his fifth and possibly slightly uncomfortable general election sitting in a sort of foxhole by Alistair's feet, sorting through computer printouts of the results and other vital information.
Mr. Dowsett, Alistair tells me that you're the guy who's kept him right on all the statistics he uses. I understand that you've done the last 3 general elections and all the interviews we've had, and I know you've got the last 3 general elections right.
Quite apart from his professional skills, the thing that I most remember about Derek was just what a lovely man he was. Obviously, as a trainee, you're somewhat kind of nervous coming into this venerated newsroom. And Derek was just the most charming, the kindest man. He always had time for you, always thoughtful, always supportive. And that was really my memory of him.
Some great footage in there, Bill. I love that election foxhole shot. I assume that's not what you're asking students nowadays at the BJTC Awards to do, to report from there, no?
Well, for this award, if you can imagine Derek in his heyday, 15-minute programme, trying to cram in, as it were, really good examples of the best stories of the day, get a huge range. So you're talking about great storytelling, really tight packaging, great video editing. And as I say, this appealed to the larger nation rather than just the power brokers.
Wonderful. Well, this award comes with quite a prize for the winner, I understand.
Indeed, yes. £1,000 each year for the award and a week-long placement at ITN. And that partly because the response from the donors to the award has been so spontaneous and so warm.
Wonderful. OK. Well, we have 2 nominations for the award. First up, we have Jack Parker from City University of London with his report 1 year on, Has Dominic Cummings Changed Barnard Castle, which the judges say captures all the best qualities of a TV news package, an interesting angle, striking picture sequences and an accessible script. And our second nominee is Anna Wilkinson from Nottingham Trent University with her package Downright Discrimination. The judges say the documentary shines an intimate and compassionate light on its subject matter. The case studies were sensibly presented and the key message was forcibly delivered, making an important and positive contribution to the debate on living with disability.
I posted in a Barnard Castle Facebook group about this documentary, and what comes across in a lot of comments is that residents are fed up of the Dominic Cummings link. There's frustration that this is what got the town noticed, rather than its history and beauty. As one person writes, the town is a far better story than Cummings. And it's while caught between this frustration and the tourism boom that residents are voting in local elections. Barnard Castle's 2 wards are the Conservative strongholds in a county traditionally dominated by Labour. When these seats were last up for election, Tory candidates won 2/3 of all votes. But Conservative support dipped in national opinion polls after the Cummings scandal and has only recently started to recover. The question here is whether the Tories can hold on to their huge majority. Labour is looking to make inroads.
I think the Dominic Cummings situation, if anything, has fostered a huge amount of apathy, which means that when we go out, our first job is not flogging ourselves as candidates or our party. It's encouraging people that they should vote and that it means something.
My life is worth living because it's just the same as anyone else's.
And you enjoy your life, don't you?
I love my life.
I actually wondered whether it would be better for us all if Tom didn't survive.
With DS, it doesn't hold us back.
I don't know what I want for his future. I think the one thing that I do know is that it's going to be bright. It's funny because before I had Aidan, I had all these ideas of what I wanted for my children. Now, I kind of just feel like the most important thing is that they're happy.
Hi, my name is Heide Krauser, and the UK's court law is downright discrimination.
Powerful pieces of work, we both agree, absolutely. But now is the moment of truth. Which of these 2 TV package makers will be receiving a £1,000 prize and the offer of a week's work experience at ITV News? Bill,
Trish, I'm nervous now. So the winner of the first Derek Dowsett Award is Jack Parker, City University of London.
OK, well done.
Enormous congratulations to Jack.
Wonderful, absolutely. Congratulations, Jack, on your excellent work. I look forward to following Jack and Anna's career. So it was very close, wasn't it? I think Derek Dowsett would have just have said, well, great story, but it would be better shorter.
Much better shorter.
Thank you very much, Bill. Absolutely wonderful. Thanks for coming in. Right, the best social short category is for those short captioned videos we all watch on our mobile phones. Our first finalist is Natalia Pajuzak. She is from Birmingham City University with a TikTok video on the risk of homelessness for Afghan refugees in Birmingham. The judges praised her creative approach using a range of stills, audio, text and data to deliver an engaging story. The second nomination, Islington's new LGBT walk by Sebastian Worth from City University of London, was described by the judges as a polished work of network standard. They were particularly impressed by Sebastian's creative editing devices to bring the video alive. Because these are shorts, we get to watch them in their entirety. Enjoy these 2 nominations.
Charity raises homelessness concerns for Afghan refugees. As Afghans who flee Kabul settle down in Birmingham, there are fears for refugees whose asylum was refused, as they may become homeless. So what will happen to those refused asylum?
So their alternatives are either to return home, which in the case of Afghani community right now would be to almost certain persecution. These are people who have been in trouble with the Taliban, or they stay here and they stay here homeless, literally street homeless, without any access to financial support, without any access to hostels or anything, just either the street or sofa surfing.
Refused asylum seekers are evicted from their houses and excluded from social benefits. National data shows that at the end of June, 218 Afghans entered detention, 46 returned to Afghanistan, 140 were refused asylum, and 95 were withdrawn. The government says enforced returns are paused due to Afghanistan's complex situation, and no one who is in danger of prosecution will be expected to return. But Phil Davies from the Hope Project predicts more people will try to arrive in the UK, making the dangerous journey.
The members of the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence is that they were all men and they dressed up as nuns. I'm very excited today because this is the first guided walk out in the open that I've been able to do since October due to the COVID restrictions.
And I also work here, so I saw this walk on Twitter and I thought it would be really interesting. As a lesbian woman, I didn't know a lot of what's been explained during the tour, so that's been really, really interesting to know.
And the winner is Sebastian Worth from City University of London with Islington's new LGBT walk. Well done to both nominees. The winners of each of our categories today are all in the running for the Steve Harris Award, which recognises the submission the judges feel is the standout entry of the competition. And we look forward to finding out who that is once all the winners have been announced. I'm sure all of our winners so far are super keen to hear which of them will be taking home the £500 prize. Now, it's time for a category introduced last year in response to the COVID-19 restrictions. The Best Virtual News Day category is in recognition that for much of the last 18 months, students have had to move all their Newsday production online, adapting their practices and showing real innovation in producing programmes. Our first finalists are the 2020-2021 third-year BA journalism students from the University of Salford with their pre-Christmas Newsday. The judges say every virtual trick in the book was used to ensure this was an engaging, cross-platform audio-visual news day filled with expert interviews, location VT, parliamentary clips and their own polling. The show was held together by a strong presenter working remotely. Next, we go to the University of the West of England with their BA Broadcast Journalism News Day on December the 7th. This was a radio and online news day which impressed the judges with its social, audio and video embeds, demonstrating tenacity and creativity while providing a great shop window for their journalism. Let's take a look.
Hello and welcome to Salford Now. I'm David Patcher. First today, there's been an angry reaction to the news that Salford, along with the rest of Greater Manchester, is to stay in the strictest coronavirus restrictions. Greater Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham says the North is being held to different rules than London. Our reporter Shona Burns has been following the story and is live in the Salford Now newsroom. So Shona, what happened today?
Earlier on, we saw Matt Hancock giving an update of what's come out of the latest review of the COVID-19 tier restrictions. Salford and Greater Manchester will remain in Tier 3, while some parts of the South East will be moving up to the tightest restrictions.
Yeah, the outdoor space is where most people will be meeting other families. So, and you're looking at the park here, we've only got like 2 or 3 little things here, and after school it's absolutely packed, particularly like through the summer. So it was really a case that how important this park is. We needed to do something and improve it whenever we can do, really.
And the kids just absolutely love coming here at the end of the day, and you could just see really there's not really enough equipment for all those kids, and there just isn't a variety.
University students up and down the country are furious at being asked to pay rent on top of their already expensive fees. Bristol University say they have done everything they can to cater the needs of the students in these tough times. Madison Sandhu, a Bristol student, disagrees.
So I've been joining into the protest with other people because I don't think how fair it is how much we have to pay for so little. We've been paying like over $9,000 to just sit on Zoom, and then on top of that a further $5,000 to just sit in my room all the time without anywhere to really go.
Well done to both those very trying conditions. Let's see who the judges decided on for the winner. Oh, and it's the University of Salford. Well done, team. And good luck with all your future news days. You know, I can hear virtual screaming. I can. Right, time for some sport now, my favourite subject, with the best TV sports journalism category. Cameron Ponsonby is from City University of London, and the judges say his report, "Why do more batters come from private schools than bowlers?" is a clever attempt to delve deeply into the talent pipeline in English cricket. They commend his creative approach to TV storytelling to produce this thought-provoking report. Our second finalists are Luke Walthamstow and Nick Clay, who are also from the City University of London, with their piece, "The Released Football's Lost Boys," an enlightening examination into an aspect of our national game not often discussed, say the judges, who highlight effective storytelling techniques and the quality and range of case studies included.
And what that means for bowling is that I'm in control. The ball's in my hand, and whether I bowl a good ball or a bad ball, that's on me. Batting, however, I'm in need of a stimulus. I can't do this by myself. I need someone to bowl me the ball, and then I can play.
Raghu Aravinthan is a 17-year-old batter who has been part of the Surrey Academy since he was 9. He's still at a state school in South London, and although a lack of school cricket has meant that he's been able to play club cricket to a high level, there's still a sense that in some areas he's been at a disadvantage to his privately educated teammates.
It's like, obviously the facilities are better, you play against better opponents going to a private school, and sometimes like some of the coaches at private schools are linked with Surrey, so like it's kind of a bit of intel, and you get a bit more notice when you go to private school because no one really looks into state school as like they don't play a high standard.
In the past, it has been difficult for footballers to speak openly about mental health. More recently, there's been a shift in mindset.
I mean, I haven't worked in football for as long as Clive has, but even in the few years that I have, and just being a football fan and growing up and seeing the shift in the amount of people that now talk about their mental health, and then hopefully trying to create a culture within academies where everything is accepted and it's okay to not feel okay, is that by the time hopefully our academy players become professionals or become, you know, not necessarily just professional footballers, but professional in any kind of capacity, is that they feel courageous enough and they feel that it is okay and acceptable enough to just talk about their mental health freely.
It's easy for people to put a mask on, and I think making people aware that no, actually you can't just keep it in, you can't just put a show on for an hour and a half, 2 hours that you're in the club, you need to be speaking about it.
Measures have been taken by clubs to ensure that we never have another story like Jeremy Whiston's.
And the winner is Luke Wolstenholme and Nick Clay from City University of London with The Released Football's Lost Boys. Well done to you. Now, our next award is for the best podcast. The first you will hear is Bad Breed Podcast by Ida Fafana from Birmingham City University. In this piece, Ida gets under the skin of social issues, contributing to youngsters turning to crime. And the judges are impressed by her use of music, archive and sound to contribute to its excellent production. The second piece you will hear is from the Abortion Abroad podcast by Rhys Nelson from Cardiff University. The judges highlight the compilation of voices at the beginning, which immediately grab the listener's attention, as well as the use of statistics, audio drop-ins, archive material, and a heartbreaking case study. Time to hear for ourselves.
The minute you exclude a kid from secondary school, you're effectively sending them to custody.
Just seeing him lying on the hospital bed, I was thinking, what if he dies?
The youngest was 12 years old. No race, gender or reason given, just an age. And looking in, it would be easy to cast shame and call them a bad breed or a naughty kid. But how did it become that a 12-year-old child was carrying a knife or a gun?
I've been in pupil referral units where teachers have walked kids in the class and introduced them as the worst kids in the school.
I think it's really good to have police officers in the community being visible and building, positive, friendly relationships.
And is also not coming across as sort of an authority figure.
I'm Ida Fafana. This is the Bad Breed Podcast. And over the next 3 episodes, we will explore factors that breed the bad environments which contribute to Britain's young people engaging in crime.
As yet, no decision has been taken by the executive, and therefore there is no commissioned service for abortion in Northern Ireland.
Can I ask what you would say to the women who are being forced to travel to England in the middle of a global health pandemic to access health services that they are entitled to under the law at home?
We've had nearly 50 years of silence around abortion in Northern Ireland.
When you come from Northern Ireland, every conversation about abortion is a difficult one. It's tense, it's hushed.
It's disgusting. It is so completely disgusting. Free, safe and legal and local abortion.
Free, safe, legal, local.
A safe, legal abortion.
Fully commissioned services now.
The ban on abortion is gone, but some women still can't get treatment. I'm Rhys Nelson and welcome to the Abortion Abroad podcast. Since 2019, it has been a woman's right to access an abortion in Northern Ireland, but the government still hasn't commissioned services.
Such powerful audio, both those nominees. And this time the award goes to Ida Fafana from Birmingham City University for Bad Breed Podcast. Congratulations, Ida, to you. Now, with just a couple of categories to go, let's have a look now at the best online news site. Eleanor Baxter from the University of the West of England starts us off with her site exploring the impact of COVID-19 on the theatre industry. The judges highlight the 4 different films revealing compelling stories from individual artists and venues, as well as her infographics and show-stopping photographs. Also from the University of the West of England, our second site looks at the rewilding of Britain, some of the projects that are underway and the controversies surrounding them. The judges say George Boyle's site and its content explain a complex subject in simple terms, using beautiful imagery and infographics. Here's a glimpse of what you can see on the sites. And the winner is COVID-19, the untold stories of the impact on the theatre industry, from the University of the West of England's Eleanor Baxter. Well done, Eleanor. And now to our final category, Best TV News Day. Our first entry comes from students at Cardiff University from their news day of May the 21st, which the judges say is a good balance of on-the-day news stories and original journalism. Good camera directions and cuts, a presenter interview and solid packaging all help to make this news day a finalist. This is followed by the nomination from the University of Central Lancashire, third-year sports journalists. The judges praise the confident, natural presenters, good writing and well-made packages.
The Indian variant posing a threat to our road out of lockdown. It's spring, but it feels like winter. What's behind this bad weather? And calls for eye tests in schools to resume in Wales. It's 4:30. Welcome to CJS News. I'm Mallory Williams.
Gusts of over 70 miles per hour have been recorded in parts of South Wales over the last 24 hours, causing damage to property and widespread travel delays. Trains are running at reduced speeds because of the bad weather, and a tree came down on a busy road in the Cateys area of Cardiff.
Like coming to see Maggie?
Yeah. 13-year-old James has nystagmus, which means his eyes tend to wobble, which affects his vision. This was luckily spotted early enough. But this isn't the reality for many children.
A recent survey by the College of Optometrists have shown 23% of children are not having their eye tests.
Hello and welcome to UCLan Sports Day. I'm Nathan Ridley.
And I'm Adam Brown. Thanks for joining us this afternoon for a roundup of all of today's North West sports and our top stories. Athletes from all around the county prepare to join in a national social media blackout.
I'm outside the EFL headquarters, one of the leading organisations involved in the social media boycott this weekend.
A Wigan Warriors player is facing punishment after being accused of racial abuse in last night's Super League tie against Hull FC.
And ready to tee off on one of the world's biggest stages, a North West golfer prepares for his debut in one of the sport's leading European competitions.
Good afternoon. Time to say enough is enough. That's the message from North West players and athletes fed up with being abused online. Sport will come together today in its battle against the abuse, and clubs and leagues will take part in an unprecedented social media blackout.
Gosh, I tell you, those are much better than me, I tell you, those presenters. And the honours go to Cardiff University. Big congratulations to the whole team there. Yeah, I can hear you screaming virtually. Let's hear from one of the judges of this award, Nina Goswani.
Firstly, a really big congratulations to all the finalists. I had the pleasure of being one of the TV Newsday judges, and the calibre of entry was really high. I loved how all the student collectives sought out original stories, and I learnt a thing or two. With what I've seen, our industry has some great talent just about to join. So wishing you all the best of luck with your future careers.
Thanks, Nina. Joining us now is the editor of BBC Breakfast and our chair of judges for the BJTC Awards, Richard Frediani. Or can I call you Freddie? That's what your friends call you, I'm a friend.
Freddie, that's the moniker I go by.
OK. Thank you for being here today. And what a fantastic array of awards and talent we've been watching and listening to.
Yeah, some incredible entries this year, 194, so just under 200 entries. So those who've not just won, but those who've been nominated should be incredibly proud of this achievement, as well as their university lecturers and college lecturers who've been supporting them sort of through what's been a particularly difficult couple of years.
Well, this is it, isn't it? Because it's unprecedented in terms of the way everyone's had to adapt, and so you have to be even more creative, I'd imagine, Freddie.
Yeah, it's a huge challenge. We in the industry ourselves have found it a challenge and found new ways of working and new ways of operating. Some have been great, some have been restrictive, and so in some respects, what the students have been going through mirrors what they will actually face when they get into the industry.
And have you seen the standard going up every year?
I think every year, this feedback certainly I get from the judges, and when I view what's been nominated, etc. There is some incredible talent in there. I was just looking on the BJTC website last night from pictures from a few years ago when we had an event up in Salford, and I was recognising people on those pictures, people who've won awards, who are now working full-time in the industry for ITV, for Sky, for the BBC. So getting recognition in these awards, whether you win or are nominated, is a real gateway into the industry.
It really does mean something. Thanks, Freddie. We'll be meeting our winners in a moment, but first let's take another look at the winning TV feature.
The hair loss industry was worth over £5 billion in 2018 and is projected to grow to £8.6 billion by 2026. But there's currently no cure for hair loss, and most treatments aren't available on the NHS. For young people, the lack of any guarantee in cost can be financially and mentally difficult.
It's just ridiculous to think how, like, I have spent thousands of pounds in my lifetime, like, on hair. The brand of wig I wear now, they're £3,000 each, the wigs. So I save up every 2 years. I say no to holidays. I say no to, like, I've got a crappy old car because I have a hair fund, you know, like, because that for me has always been, well, I have to pay, that's my responsibility, you know.
It is really hard for people, especially in the beginning. You know, if you lose your hair, you really just want to find answers, and you want to know that there's, you know, when something happens to your body, you immediately think, well, there'll be something there to fix it. And it's a really difficult thing with alopecia because there isn't necessarily something there to fix it. There are various different treatment options, and sometimes they'll work for some people, but not for others. So it's really unpredictable, and that can be a difficult thing to sit with.
Eva Proudman says the number of people she has seen in her clinic has grown tenfold over the last 18 months. She says some are coming with depression, anxiety and body dysmorphia as a result of their hair loss. Would you say young people suffering from hair loss are vulnerable in any way?
Absolutely, and not just young people. If you've got hair loss, you're automatically vulnerable. The one thing you want when you've got hair loss is you want to fix it. You want that hair back. And you'll believe any promise because you want it fixed.
Just a fascinating subject, one I'd never thought of, Freddie.
No, it's one that put people at the heart of the story. It was compelling personal testimony from the start. The structure, the edit, the packaging was superb. It was an issue and an edit that I would have happily put on BBC Breakfast, and it combined solutions and support on a deeply personal topic. I thought, out of all the entries, this is the one that for me was the standout, because what the Steve Harris Award is about is the standout entry of the 194 that have gone into this. You know, whether it's Leeds Trinity, where I was earlier today on a journalism day, Trent University, UCLan, Birmingham City, and many, many more colleges and universities that enter the BJTC. What you're looking for the Steve Harris is what we would regard as the judges as standout entry. And for me, the winner of this award is More Than Hair, a documentary about hair loss by Liam Gould and Emily Kinder.
That is absolutely fantastic. And I'm pleased to say with us now are those winners of the Steve Harris Award, Liam Gould and Emily Kinder. Congratulations to you both. First of all, to hear Freddie say that he would have actually put this on his breakfast show. How do you feel about that?
I mean, it's such an honour, yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so overwhelming. Just to hear those words is just mind-blowing. So yeah, thank you so much.
I mean, just tell us about the journey of this story. Where did it start, Liam?
Yeah, so it started when I saw a statistic, and I think the statistic was 30% of men under 30 are bald, and just thinking that's so high, and it's something that's just really not spoken about. And from there we spoke to so many people, and I think something that we quickly realised was just how much of a collective experience it is, but such a personal struggle. And from there, I think just sharing the stories and having that opportunity to share people's stories and really rooting people at the heart of this, we took it from there. And
Freddie, it was so brilliantly crafted, wasn't it? I mean, it's just incredible.
It was. I thought the range of case studies that were in there really will have attracted an audience who were watching it and felt they could connect with it. It's an issue that is little covered on mainstream media. and one that affects significantly more people, not just in simple facts about appearance, but also just in the impact it has. And I felt that the feature drew on many of those different points, but also, and this is a really important part of journalism and something that when we do audience research, you find this, that people are looking for solutions and support. It's not just all about drama and conflict and debate. People want solutions and support. That's been particularly true over the last 18 years in the pandemic, and I thought in your documentary that you gave that in there, as well as telling some of the personal testimonies.
And Emily, some brilliant interviewing. You really got under the skin of the contributors. Was that easy or a difficult job?
Well, all of our contributors were so up for being interviewed and were so lovely when we spoke to them, and really wanted this subject to be put under the microscope a little bit more, and for a documentary to be made about it. They were all so great talking to us. But yeah, we really researched which questions to ask even, and yeah, really interviewed our interviewees for a long time to get to the heart of the problem and also the solutions, as you were just talking about as well.
That's wonderful. Well, listen, you've got the main man here. He would play your stuff on his show. Come on, you're both looking for work. Plug, come on, plug. Come on.
I'm Liam Gould.
Yeah,
Well, we will pass on your details, that is for sure. And what's wonderful, Freddie, is that, we've heard about, jobs are hard to get to and, TV's dying, but it's in safe hands, isn't it, with the likes of these?
Yeah, it's in incredibly safe hands. You see talent coming through universities and colleges every year, and talent who in 3 to 5 years' time will be well established in the industry, and probably in another 5 years on top of that will be giving me my redundancy notice and taking on my job. I was just at Leeds Trinity a few hours ago at the start of their journalism week, which is a fantastic event, and I know a lot of universities and colleges hold events through the years. And I mentioned something to the students, which I really sort of think you and every other student who's watching this should think about. Worry not where you're going to be, worry now about what you're learning today, because what you learn today at your universities and colleges is what will stand you in good stead for that brilliant future you've got ahead of you.
Absolutely. Any questions you want to quickly ask the main man whilst you've got him?
Oh no, you passed on the spot.
Yeah,
take your chances.
Later, I would think of some parts. Yeah.
Well, I think they get a cash prize, don't they, for this?
They do. There's a cash prize, which is always welcome, I know, as a student.
Well, I'm sure you'll split it equally. I am sure. You've got great futures. Well done, Liam Gould and Emily Kinder from City University of London. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh, fantastic. Richard, thank you as well. Or Freddie, I should say, Richard Frediani, for coming in, and thank you. And, of course, leading this wonderful event as well. Well, that's the end of our awards programme. Thanks to all our guests and everyone who's tuned in, and congratulations to everyone who was nominated for an award. The standard of work has been absolutely amazing. Good luck to you all as you look to make your way in the industry. Maybe our paths will cross again one day. From everyone here at BBC Birmingham, goodbye and good luck.